And I'm Becky.
And welcome to our TBR check-in. For those of you who don't know what TBR stands for, it's to be read.
Or that shelf in Goodreads that you put stuff and never go and look at again.
Yeah, the one that mine keeps growing, and every time I read a book on there, 2 more pop up. I can't even control it.
It's like a Greek myth.
It's true. The Sisyphus of books. Alright, so my TBR was The Falconer by Elizabeth May. It had been on my shelf since October 2013. I only really started tracking my to-be-read books since like 2012, so it's been on there a long time in the lifespan of my Goodreads. Anyway, so this book was about Alina. It's a Scottish book, so I'm totally probably massacring all these names. Anyway, but Alina's mother was killed by a fairy, and she was only able to see the fairy because she had this special like plant in her area. And so she saw this fairy kill her mother and has then decided to exact revenge upon that fairy and then actually kill all of the other fairies because they don't like humans and they kill them. So obviously she's going to fight back. But basically she can't see it unless she has a certain like plant on her person. She has a helper, a fairy helper, and they don't like being called fairies, but I can't pronounce what they're really called, so I'm just gonna call them fairies because that's what she does. She has a fairy helper. His name is, and I always forget his name. His name is Kieran, he's actually kind of a BA character. He's pretty cool. Totally rejecting his fairy society and helping this human kill the bad guys. So he like trains her and shows her how to fight because during the Victorian period, which is when this is set, women were expected to hold tea parties and all that fun stuff. Ileana even has a little pixie living in her wardrobe named Derek, but he also knows like a little bit of healing magic and stitchery and stuff, so he's like the fashionista of the fairy world. And the other kind of love interest that enters is Gavin, who can see fairies because of something that happened in his past. So there's this whole love triangle, and then, you know, fighting to save the world because the fairies are going to break free and kill everyone. Ah! It took me a while to get into it, but in the end it was pretty good. I mean, I don't know if it really was worth the 2-year wait, but I mean, I'm glad I read it, and I'm gonna read the next one. I mean, it's not something that I'm like, yes, everyone should read, but I'm not like, it's so terrible, you shouldn't read it. So it was okay.
So mine is called Stupid Fast by Geoff Herbach, I think is how you say that. This has been on my to-be-read shelf since June of 2011. It's a book, it is about Felton Reinstein, who was kind of like a losery guy in school, in middle school, and then he grew real tall and could start to run stupid fast. So he got to be on the track team, and then he's going to be on the football team. And this is about the summer where his best friend has to go somewhere in South America where his family lives because there was a sick grandmother. And his best friend's family rents out their house to a visiting professor who has a daughter who is a piano prodigy, and he's got a crush on her, and then they kind of start like a dating thing. But at the same time, his mom starts to have like a complete nervous breakdown and like won't be a mom anymore. And so he's trying to help with his brother while he's also being on the team, and he's got this girl he's got a crush on, and he's doing his best friend's paper route. So first of all, first note, difficult to find a book on your to-be-read shelf for the last 5 years when all of a sudden it is on the summer reading list.
Wow.
And the book is quite old and has been weeded from most libraries, and I actually had to go a couple libraries over to find a copy of it.
That one looks a little rough too.
This one looks a little rough too. This one, and I personally would have weeded this one.
Somebody's the weeding queen. Thwack!
Mercilessly.
Anyway.
It was okay. It was a quick read when I actually like sat and made myself read it, but I had a hard time making myself read it. I can see how teenage boys might like it, and I can see how a lot of teenage boys might be going through this, and since I was never a teenage boy, I was like, oh, okay, it's okay. This is a whole series. There are actually 2 other books. I'm not going to eagerly seek out the other books, but if like I were to come across one, I might check it out and give it a read.
Like if it was on the floor and you stumbled over it, then you'd be like, okay, I'll take it home.
Yeah, maybe. Basically.
Maybe not.
Like I said, I didn't really care either way.
It kind of was like that with mine.
Yeah.
A little bit like more like, oh, I want to read more. But I was looking like,
But yeah. So it wasn't like the best thing in the world. It wasn't like I was urgently chomping on the bit to read the sequel, but I guess I'm glad that I put it on my to-be-read shelf because it is on the summer reading list.
Yeah, it's something good to know.
Yeah. So, rating-wise...
Oh, yeah, rating. I shall give it 1 fairy.
And
which is appropriate for this book. I should probably give it 2 fairies because of the multitude of fairies in said book, but I'm only giving it 1.
When you add up all the fairies, it equals 2 fairies. I'm going to give mine 1 fairy too because I did like it and I can kind of see where they were going and I can see why a teenage boy would like it, but that's as far as it'll go. So, and that's all we have today.
So, see you later.
Bye.
Bye.